Listen, if you want to achieve your most meaningful goals, you have to realize one absolute truth right now. Your success requires defeating an invisible, internal enemy. It's a force actively working against you every single day. Welcome to this explainer, where we're breaking down Steven Pressfield's phenomenal book, The War of Art. I am here to tell you that the friction you feel when you sit down to work is not in your head, and it is absolutely not a sign that you should quit.
So let's dive into this. The core promise of Pressfield's work is incredibly validating. If you've ever struggled with intense procrastination, or if you've ever felt completely paralyzed right before starting a project that means the world to you, you need to hear this. These struggles are not personal flaws, you're not lazy, and you're not broken. What you are experiencing is a completely predictable, universal force that pushes back against human growth. It's an enemy that attacks everyone trying to do something that actually matters.
Section 1. The Universal Enemy. Recognizing Resistance.
Pressfield calls this force resistance. Simply put, resistance is the invisible internal pull toward procrastination, self-doubt, and distraction when you're pursuing meaningful work. I really want you to internalize this. It's a psychological roadblock. It is not a lack of willpower on your part. It's an active, aggressive energy that shows up the exact moment you try to move from a lower level of your being to a higher one.
Pressfield actually frames this problem as a signal. He writes, "The more important a call or action is to our soul's evolution, the more resistance we will feel toward pursuing it." Basically, resistance shows up in direct proportion to how important the work is. Think of someone who has wanted to start a small business for years. Every time they sit down to write that business plan, they suddenly remember they need to wash the dishes, or they just have to make this one random phone call. Why? Well, it's not because the dishes are urgent. It happens because that business idea matters so deeply to their growth, and resistance is always loudest exactly there.
Section 2. The disguises of resistance. How it tricks you daily.
Resistance is sneaky. It wears a lot of disguises, and it'll use any weakness it can find against you. Look at this list: procrastination, self-doubt, fear, rationalization, perfectionism, and my personal favorite, productive avoidance. Imagine a student preparing for a massive career-defining exam. Suddenly, they decide their bedroom desperately needs deep cleaning before they can possibly open a textbook. Now, the cleaning feels highly productive, right? But it's a lie. It is resistance wearing a disguise, delaying the only task that actually matters. You have to recognize these tricks to strip away their power.
And this brings us to a really crucial question. I want you to reflect on this for a second. Why do we feel so terrified before doing the work that matters most to us? Why does the blank page, or the gym, or the business plan make our heart race with anxiety?
It's because fear is a compass. We need to completely shift our narrative around fear. We have to stop viewing fear as a stop sign. Fear is a compass pointing toward what we most need to do. Take the story of a young singer. She feels absolutely terrified, practically sick to her stomach before every single open audition. And yet, when she casually sings at home in her living room, she feels nothing. That intense fear before the audition is actual proof that the audition matters to her. The calm at home simply confirms nothing is at stake. The fear is a sign you're on the right track.
Section 3. The professional mindset. The pivot to power.
Beating resistance requires a massive mindset shift. Think about it. The amateur treats their goals like a hobby. They wait for inspiration to strike, relying on feeling ready or motivated before they even begin. The professional is completely different. The professional treats their goals like a job. They do not wait for motivation. They show up and execute based on discipline and commitment, completely independent of their daily emotional state.
Pressfield captures this dynamic perfectly. He says, the amateur believes he must first overcome his fear, then he can do his work. The professional knows that fear can never be overcome. The professional acts anyway. Think about a local doctor. That doctor does not wait at home until they feel inspired to see patients. They don't check their pulse to see if they feel motivated today. They put on their coat and they open the clinic at the exact same time every single morning because that is the job. Your personal goals, your creative work, your fitness, it all deserves that exact same unglamorous consistency.
Section 4. Action over inspiration. Doing the work. So here is your exact playbook to defeat resistance. Step 1. Set a rigid schedule. Step 2. Show up regardless of your mood. And step 3. Produce consistent output. Let me give you an example. Imagine two aspiring writers who start out in the exact same year. One is an amateur. They write only when inspiration strikes, so maybe a few days a month. The other writer turns pro. They write exactly one page daily, whether they feel brilliantly inspired or completely empty. Fast forward 5 years, only one of them has a finished manuscript. action always beats inspiration.
Now, part of maintaining this consistent action is knowing why you're working in the first place. Pressfield makes a really profound distinction between working for intrinsic value, which he calls your territory, versus working for external validation, which he calls the hierarchy. If you work just to climb the hierarchy, to get applause or likes or approval, resistance is going to crush you the moment you face criticism. But if you work for your territory, the love of the process itself, you become unstoppable. Consider a painter who stops painting forever because a single gallery rejects her. Now consider another painter who gets rejected by the exact same gallery, but she goes right back to the studio the very next morning. She paints for the territory. The rejection barely even touches her.
Section 5. The Daily Victory, Routine and Reward.
Listen, you cannot fight resistance with willpower alone. It's finite, and you will eventually run out of energy. You have to combat resistance with routine. A fixed, almost ritualistic routine removes the decision-making process completely. Think of a farmer. A farmer doesn't wake up, look at the sky, check their mood, and then decide if they really want to water the crops today. The watering happens at the same hour daily, rain or shine. The routine itself carries the farmer past the absolute hardest moment, which is simply getting started.
So the crucial point here is this. What is the actual goal? Pressfield writes, the work itself, done today, is the only victory that was ever really in a person's control. The reward isn't the money, the fame, or even the completed project. A master craftsman was once asked if he was worried his beautiful, handmade furniture might never sell. And his response? He said his job is to build it well. Whether it sells is just not in his control. His only victory is that he showed up and built it right. Showing up is the true reward.
All right, we've covered the tactics, we've named the enemy, and here's what you absolutely must take away from this explainer today. Resistance never fully goes away. You just show up and outwork it, one day at a time, like a professional. Stop waiting for the fear to vanish. Stop waiting for the perfect, inspired moment. That moment is a myth designed to keep you stuck. Your life, your goals, and your true potential are waiting on the other side of the work. Go do it. Ask yourself right now, what meaningful work is resistance keeping you from starting today?